light. But then, okay, clearly visible and audible now. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is the daily editorial analysis. Like I had told you, I have got two very interesting things today. So, let me tell you what these interesting things are. I'm sure you're going to love me for this. So, here we go. So, you know, the Hindu has not been providing us with something very interesting for a lot of time. And the articles have been repetitive or monotonous, sometimes boring. So, I don't know, Movis, what's the reason? So, isliye, yesterday I kept hunting and hunting and hunting for a good article. I was not able to find any good article. I went through so many newspapers. I gave it 2 hours only to find a good article. I wasn't. And that's why you can see the elation in my voice, because once I was able to find 2 good articles, I had a sigh of relief actually. So the 2 articles that I'm going to take, one article is from the New York Times. I haven't taken any article from the New York Times yet. So this article is an old one, but I went older and older and I tried to find something very interesting. So the article is from the New York Times. The second article is a surprise for you. I will not tell you what newspaper that is from. I have removed the first line, the description. I've only kept the article without the details of what it is about. And I've got few questions made on the second article. So you have to read the article. I will not explain you the second article. You have to answer questions that follow. I've made only few. I could make only few. I think 4 questions. And you have to answer these 4 questions. And then you have to tell me what was the source of the second article. So, ready everyone? Yes, Shreya, I've got questions in the second article. Oh, Kushi, you could not have done that. Yes, I got questions in the second article, not in the first one. Okay, ready everyone? I've inserted questions in the second article. Yeah, that's what you're thinking it is, Ritik. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with the first article from the New York Times. But before that, let's do the vocabulary. 2 pages, simple. Undermining, making something less effective, less important is undermining. This could undermine years of hard work. So years of hard work looking like less important is undermining it. Easy word, we've done that multiple times. So, good morning, Ragini. Good morning, Shahi, Shinu, everyone else. Next word, incisive is, just a minute, there's something wrong here. So we were doing which word? Incisive is very logical, analytical, smart thought, incisive. So she was an incisive critic, analytical one, clear thinking, no confusion, no based on intuition is incisive. Next word is superfluous. Superfluous is unnecessary, additional, overflowing. More than necessary is superfluous. So the purchaser should avoid asking for superfluous information, unnecessary information. Okay, undermining for diminishing, depreciating, trivializing. Yes, exactly, correct. Downplay is also undermining. Okay. Incisive can be wit, it can be. Tactical, yes. Superfluous is unnecessary, it is. Shrewd, उसका एक negative tinge हो जाता है, प्रिया. Redundant is superfluous, yes it is. Correct. Let's have a look at the next word. ओहो भाई, काम नहीं है आपके पास कोई? इसको ब्लॉक करो भाई। वीडियो टीम, कितना दिमाग अगर पढ़ाई में लगा लेते बच्चे तो तुम आज शायद एनएलयू बैंगलोर में होते। इसको ब्लॉक करो लौकी को। Just a minute. Let's move to the next word. Incandescent. Bright lights, like light coming from blazing fire, something that's heated up is incandescent. Okay, so bright, like light from bulb, the plumes of incandescent liquid rock, lights coming out from any bright source. Video team, could you please block this van? It's just too distracting. Okay, dazzling. Dazzling, yes. I'm sorry, guys. Last word. Intuition. Okay. Intuition से जो चीज आती है, something that comes. Everyone in the app wondering what's happening. Somebody is disturbing us in the YouTube channel. I'm really sorry for that. Okay. So illuminating for incandescent. Yes, that's correct. Next word becomes intuitively. That is something that comes from your intuition, something that comes from your instinct without using any kind of reasoning. Your gut feeling is what that is. He knows intuitively how to calm me through his gut feeling, through his sense, common sense, and not using reasoning is intuitively. Okay, so slide number 1. Quickly take a screenshot, everybody. Good morning, Tanu. Ignore Ritik. ठीक है, ये हो गए सारे वर्ड. Instinctively, yes. Exactly, Shweta. These two words are opposites. You're right. Let's move to slide number 2, everyone, very quickly. Slide number 2. Maliciously, मुझसे ज्यादा अच्छे से तुम लोगों को पता होगा what is maliciously. ठीक है? Those people who don't know what malicious is, something that's full of malice, ill will, bad intention is malicious. Prove that the defendant acted maliciously. He acted with bad intention, bad will, bad to cause harm is malicious. Incandescent. Ishan, incandescent is bright light. Hi, Ali. Okay. Malevolent. Yes. Yes, Harmandeep, you're absolutely right. Maestria, malevolent, bad intention. Correct. Going back to the first slide, jaldi screenshot le lo. This is slide number 1. Quick screenshot, everybody. We have 2 long articles to do today. Second slide. Banal. In Hindi, ghisapita. In English, overused, not original, cliched is banal. Songs with banal repeated words, nothing new. Repetitive kind of songs. So these songs, repetitive kind of lyrics is banal. Nothing new, nothing exciting. It's boring, it's overused is banal. Okay? Ordinary, mundane, you can use it for banal. Cliched, monotonous, yes. Old, yes. Kanishka, that's bright light. Okay? All right. Next one. Oh, ये कल के words repeat हो गए. I'm sorry. ये कल के words repeat. These are the only 2 words in the second slide. Take a screenshot, everyone, very quickly. Web page, yes, chorus, correct. Ready for the articles, everyone? So everyone who joined me late, the first article that I'm going to take today is from the New York Times. But before that, if you're targeting crash course for CLAT 2022, batch 3 has recently been launched. लोकी बैच ज्वाइन कर लो, पढ़ाई कर लो थोड़ी सी बेकार की चीजों में. Okay, first when I looked at the word, I thought the word is metaspace. But then I realized no, it's actually not metaspace, that's meat space. What is the need of a word meat space? What does it mean? Technology actually does funny things to language. This article from the New York Times is so funny. It's so good. Funny? I don't know. You'll decide that. But it's a very interesting one. So, okay. All right. So here we go. Start करते हैं. So I'm fascinated by what the evolution of language. एक चीज clear है. The article connects technology and language together. Okay, so I'm fascinated by what the evolution of language tells us about economic development over the years. Clearly, the author here is also linking language to economic development apart from linking it to technology. Weird combination, let's understand how. In focusing on language, I'm paying homage to my incisive opinion colleague. So basically, the line is not necessary. The author here is a master of economics. So he's writing an article from the perspective of economics. But he's also paying homage to one of his friends who was an expert in literature and language. Thus, he is mixing economics and language both. Consider the coinage meat space. It refers simply to the physical world where we have tangible bodies made of meat. Did you understand the meaning of meat space? A world where there are physical bodies like you and I. What are we made up of? Meat. इस वर्ल्ड को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Meat space. जरूरत थी इस वर्ड की? Was this word necessary? Do you get the concept here? Meat space? It's actually a funny word because possibly there was no need for this word. Yes? नहीं आया समझ में concept? Okay, I'll explain that again. Meat space is a word that means a world where bodies exist that are made up of meat. Is your body made up of meat? Yes. Is my body made up of meat? Yes. It's made up of meat. उसके लिए ये word बनाने की जरूरत नहीं थी. Yet the word was coined. That was meat space. It's an unnecessary word. So the author actually says that tangible is something that you can see and touch. So the author here actually says that these words do funny things to language. Meat space is a word that didn't need to exist until the invention of cyberspace. So because we have cyberspace, we also made a word meat space. Before this technology kicked in, we did not have this word. Now you see the relationship between technology and language. Technology plays with language because when more things get invented, more words get invented. Technological process gives us a new perspective on things we once took for granted. In this case, the reality itself. We took for granted that this is world, this is where people live in. We don't have to give it a name. But technology made us give it a name. That is why, exactly, Ali. Meat space refers to something that was our only reality before. Absolutely. It was reality for us, and we probably did not ever pay attention to it. But the change of technology, the development in the technology makes us pay attention to it even more. Yes. Now let's move on to the next page. आगे क्या होता है? ICE vehicle is a similar word. ICE is short for internal combustion engine, a modifier that was superfluous until electric cars came into the scene. Now, जब तक electric cars नहीं थी, we never called an engine an ICE engine. We had to give it a name after electric cars and their engines came into existence. So again, funny things technology is doing to the language. Like meat space, it's what the journalist Frank called a retronym, a new term that's invented for something old because the original term has become ambiguous. Original term, this is life, this is world we live in, but we invent a new name, meat space. We invent a new name, a retronym, so that the new word, new name is more associated with the new changes that have been happening in the technology. Usually because some development such as technological advancement has happened, we use a retronym. We either give them new names or we reprocess the older names. How many of you were not able to get this article till now? How many of you did not get anything in the article till now? It's a very good perspective actually. And Ali, that's why retronym has been put into inverted commas. It goes with the theme of the article. Okay. So everyone gets it. Let's move on. तनु और फाल्गुनी को कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया अभी तक. तनु फाल्गुनी हिंदी में एक लाइन में समझाती हूँ. ओके. पहले से फोन्स होते थे, है ना? फिर जब मोबाइल फोन्स या सेल फोन्स आया तब हमने उसको लैंडलाइन बोला स्टार्ट किया. नहीं तो वो पहले फोन होता था हमारे लिए. ये नए नए नाम क्यों आ रहे हैं? क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी एडवांसमेंट हो रहा है और टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट होने की वजह से ये जो पुराने नाम था फोन, ये काफी कंफ्यूजिंग नाम हो जाता. उस नाम को क्लियर करने के लिए उन्होंने उसको लैंडलाइन नाम दे दिया और हैंड वाले फोन को सेल फोन या मोबाइल फोन नाम दे दिया. बिकॉज चीजें चेंज होती गई, टेक्नोलॉजिकल एडवांसमेंट होता गया, तो पुराने नाम ऑब्सोलीट हो गए. दैट्स व्हाट टेक्नोलॉजी डज टू लैंग्वेज. Retronym meaning retro, old, nym is name. Old name probably either changed a bit or a new name given to it again because technological advancement has taken place. There are lots of lists of retronyms on the internet. So many things that possibly have taken up a new name or older names. Among my favorite, each revealing society's progress in some way or the other. Incandescent light bulb, necessitated by fluorescent LED. Landline phone, the example that I gave you. Analog watch. Watch होती थी, उसमें digital आ गई तो आपने analog बोल दिया उसको. A new name was needed because the older one became obsolete. Euclidean. Geometry, hard copy, vacuum tube radio. अच्छा, yes. Vacuum tube radio as opposed to transistor radio. Radio को transistor कौन बोलता है? Radio is radio. Do we use transistor radio anymore? No, we don't. Anushka, you've got the right line. So, nobody, yes, it's a very interesting article. So, nobody says transistor radio anymore. You just call it a radio, and very likely it's played either in your car speaker. Most of the time, that's where you listen to the radio. So who bothers specifying transistor radio? Because vacuum tube radio is the new one, transistor is the old one. That's why new words. Unlike retronyms, infrastructure. Now this is a new idea in a new paragraph. I want all of you to pay attention here, okay? So, unlike retronyms, infrastructure is an old word that keeps getting asked to do more work. Literally, what does infrastructure mean? You tell me. What was the literal meaning of infrastructure that we had learned? Infrastructure can be buildings. Yes, the services provided to you. For example, if you have a spa in your society or if you have a lift in your society, can I say that's a part of the infrastructure? The buildings? Yes? The buildings and all. Correct. That's a part of the infrastructure. Now, infrastructure actually has a lot of burden on its shoulders. All the time it's asked to do even more. It began as the term from French railroad engineering referring to the layers of material that go beneath. Infra was the word. Okay, so building material. It started off with that. Its meaning expanded to include roads, bridges, sewer, power line, and very recently expanded again to include people. Infrastructure started with raw material used to make railway tracks, then linked to road, bridges, sewer, power lines. It has also been used for people now, specifically caregivers. How can infrastructure be used for caregivers? Let's see. When White House last year issued a letter saying the president's plan makes substantial investments in the infrastructure of our care economy, starting by creating new and better jobs for caregiving workers. So this word infrastructure refers to caregiving workers. Now you see how a word can be used with different connotations, and with the changing of times, new meanings can be added to it. Apart from the fact that we coin new words, an older word can have multiple meanings added to it over and over again. Do you understand this, everyone? Exactly. Yes, Amar. The definition goes on widening. Sometimes new words are coined. Sometimes more meaning is added to a word. It's a wider range now. Ma'am, daily classes का यही time है? Yes, Neeti. All right. So, I'm sure you love this article. Our language preserves old ways of living as surely as amber preserves long dead insects. Or amber, आपको पता है ना? This bright colored rocky जिसके अंदर insects trap हो जाते थे and they used to be preserved. So, our language and its job is to preserve old ways. Like amber preserves long dead insects, or volcanic ash preserved ancient Pompeii. We still CC people on emails, even though increasingly few of us have ever made carbon copies on a typewriter. CC हम mail में करते हैं. Do you remember? Have you ever mailed somebody? So one is CC, the other is BCC. Right. So CC is basically not sending a mail directly to somebody, sending a copy to someone. So CC actually stands for carbon copy. And for the longest period of time, while I kept using mail, I did not even know CC meant carbon copy. I did not even pay attention to what it meant. I just used it as a copy, sending a mail. But do we actually use carbon copies? Have you ever used carbon copies on a typewriter? Carbon sheet laga ke? Have you done that? No. We copy and paste text. We don't use the carbon sheet behind a sheet so that it is copied. Yes, that's carbon copy. Have you guys used that? Acha, before this, did you like my video? Do it right now. Share it right now. Send me a done when you're done. I've got 75 people like. I've got 30 likes. Have you ever even used typewriter? Because I have. I'm waiting it to reach 70 plus. Back to it. So we copy and paste text, scarcely aware that actual fragrant paste. हम paste तो करते but paste what used to be actual paste when you used to put gum and then stick things. Now copy paste is Control X, Control Z, Control V, right? So paste, its meaning has changed today. I recently learned that uppercase and lowercase letters got their names from actual wooden cases of lead that were used by compositors for printing. That means, can I say the language has a task to preserve the history in their names? Like we saw in copy and paste and CC, we also saw it in uppercase and lowercase. Its job was to preserve. So it preserves things. People still talk about dialing phone numbers. Do we dial them now? Uska number dial karke dena. Dialing was this. When we used to have a landline. That too, the one that you had to ring. People still talk about dialing phone numbers even though phones don't have dials. And rolling up car windows even though hand cranks are long gone. Can you roll up the window? Rolling was when you had a hand machine that would roll up the window. Now it's all automatic. Along those lines, it's amazing that well into the 21st century, we are still describing the strength of our cars and trucks in comparison to the horsepowers. All the physics kids, do you remember horsepower? Do you remember horsepower? Yes. So you still in 21st century measure the strength in terms of the power of horses. That usage traces back to James Watt, who developed a better steam engine at the late 18th century and compared it to a horse. Since in those days horses and pulleys were used to lift buckets of water out of flooded coal mines. So क्योंकि horses भी pull करने का काम करते थे, steam engine भी pull करने का काम करना था, they compared the power to a horse's power. Yes, Shahi, exactly. 746 watt is equals to 1 horsepower. So he used horsepower then, but the word continued till time. Till 21st century we measure it into horsepower. Technology has leapt ahead since the 18th century. Say आज 21st century में technology manifold आ गई. Steam engine बंद हो चुके हैं. We don't use steam engines anymore, but the English language hasn't. At least when it comes to describing the power of engines, we still use horsepower. 1 horsepower, by the way, equals 746 watt. And yes, Watt is the name after James Watt. तो चीजें बिल्कुल नहीं बदली हैं. English में we've been using one word. The definitions have been expanding, but probably the coinage of the words remains same, or otherwise some new words have been added. So ultimately, the author is trying to focus on two things: bringing into existence new words which are unnecessary, which were unnecessary in the past, or using the retro words and expanding its horizon of its meaning. Yes? Okay. So, and this line is such a beautiful one. He had introduced James Watt here, but he comes back to it, says, oh, don't forget, this 746 watt comes from the same name, James Watt, जो हम आज भी use करते हैं. Not all technical terminology has horsepower staying power. In economics, for example, now he gets back to this idea, says, horsepower has been a word that has been used since the 18th century. Over many, many decades, it's been still used. But a lot of words have been obsolete. Not every word has stayed till the 21st century like the horsepower. Many words have been changed. For example, priming the pump used to be a well understood phrase for what today we call stimulus. So today we use the word stimulus. Priming the pump used to be the phrase that was used for stimulus in terms of economics. Now you see economics coming back because the writer likes economy and he wants to write on economics, but he wanted to pay homage to his friend who was interested in literature as well. So he's trying to link them. Let's see how literature and economics is linked here. A conventional pump wouldn't work if there is air in the pump. I'm sure all of we Indians have seen this. हवा भर गई है पंप में, इलेक्ट्रिशियन को मैकेनिक को बुला के लाओ, उसकी वो हवा निकालेगा, फिर वो पंप चलेगा. You have to pour water into it to prime it. You prime the pump. You pour water into it before you get the water out. So काम उसका water output के लिए है, but you have to pour water in it so that the air is released and the pump works. In an era when people come from more familiar with pumps, it made sense to them that the government would occasionally need to pour some money into the economy. You see the link between economy now? The government has to put in some money for the economy to be able to put out more money to the government back to get the economy working and pump much more money out. That metaphor is less intuitively persuasive these days. So we don't use priming the pump for this government and the actions of the government. We still use stimulus, putting in money, stimulating the process so that the economy gives you more money out. Ali, I'll not answer that. I'll expect you to do that, all of you, after the article ends. So MOVIS, it's trying to identify the impact of advancement and development into language. It could be coinage of new unnecessary words or usage of older words with a wider sense. So the gist is to find out the impact advancement and development would have linked to language. So flat screen, high definition color TVs are just TVs today. Ballpoint pens are just pens. We don't say ballpoint pen. And before long, self-driving electric cars will be just cars. We would not name them because ultimately those will be the only kind of cars we would use. These pens will be the only kind of pens we would use. A flat screen high definition TV will be the only kind of TV we see. Time and technology will march on. What is the tone of the author? And did you get the main idea, everybody? Did you get the main idea, everyone? What is the tone of the author? What is the tone? It's actually a little funny, humorous, but it could be analytical, yes. It could be expository, yes, it could be. Yes, expository as well. A few parts are humorous as well, but only a few. You can't call the entire passage as humorous, okay? Okay, now ready for the second article, everyone? Because I'm not going to explain that to you. I got questions on the article. Introductory, yes, Purva, it could be. It could be. It can be analytical, Falguni, or comparative. No, Priya. I had to hunt a lot for this article. It took me a lot of effort. तो अगर तुम आज क्लास शेयर करके और लाइक करे बिना चले जाओगे, then this is not working. See, we need to break up. It took me good 3 hours yesterday to find out and make this class for you. So second article, I will not read it out to you. You have to read it on your own and then answer the questions that follow. I will not tell you what was the source, because if I tell you the source, you start using your GK. Okay, so here we go. Today is the last day for our All India Mega Mock. At 2 p.m. it closes. Make sure you sit for this and don't miss out on this chance to get your All India rank. If you're targeting CLAT 2023, batch 2 of this comprehensive prep course has been launched. I'll be teaching English in the batch. Look no further. Jaldi se enroll kar lo. Here you go. Read the page. Send me a done when you're done. Changing the slide. Read the page. Answer the question. Here, so basically this line, and then there is going to be one line coming after this out of the options, and after this line there's a continuation of the paragraph from here. This is not a new paragraph, so the line that you find has to link with this and this, both the lines. Go ahead. Navya, okay. Unanimously A, everyone? Okay, Shafi says B. App made 12 people, why no answers? So, Shafi, very likely you're wrong, my child, because everyone says A. Shweta also says B. Acha. Shafi, you have a partner. Because my children, the answer is not A, the answer is B. So I've got only 3 people who are correct today. I've got Shweta, Shafi, and Purva, and Ashmita, and Dipjot. The answer is not A. The answer is B. But I'll not explain this. Move to the next page. Are you done reading this page, everyone? I'll explain it later on. Let's do it like a reading comprehension. you done with this page? Arshia, oh, maybe I missed out your message. Exactly, Palak. Moving to the next page, everyone. Here, read this page because the next page has 2 questions. Send me done when you're done. Done? Done, everyone? Okay, here we go. Next page. Last paragraph. Read this and then I'll show you the question that follows. Yes, Priya. I always make options from the same paragraph for para completion because that creates more confusion. Here you go with the first question. What do you think is the tone of the author here? What is the tone of the author? It's such a beautiful piece of writing. It has to be humorous. The answer has to be humorous here. It has to be humorous. The entire passage is actually he starts off with humor. He says, कोई बात नहीं मिल रही है, announce कर दो. अरे तुम्हारा breakup हो गया? Everybody will start making people quiet in that conversation, or it's completely humorous. Okay, so the answer here has to be humor. Next question is here. Main theme. 4 options are here. What's the answer? Could you guess what newspaper is it from? Or where is it from? I'm so happy with the class I've bought today. Okay, here you go. I caught you. Most of you are wrong. Now, let me explain this article. I'll take you back. Acha. I'll do this quickly in a jiffy. One, you will not believe where the article is from. The article is from the Hindu. How did we even miss it out? It's from the Hindu. Okay? It's from the Hindu. Now, let me explain the article to you. So, it's the pandemic and lack of social contact that has made us really bad with small talk. These are probably add-on to the situation already that was worse. You know, when you meet someone for the first time and ask him if he's fine, complain about the weather, discuss the previous week's result in football and reality on TV. You know, when I start my classes, usually in the paid classes, for the first good 10 minutes, we talk. And everybody who comes to my paid batches know that we talk. And then there are people who would say, ma'am, the first 10 minutes were wasted. You know, this small talk, it does wonders. My experience tells me that. So small talk is necessary. Weather kaisa hai, football mein kya chal raha hai, TV mein kya chal raha hai, everything is good. That's needed. I suspect it has, if recent experience are an indication. I met an old friend for the first time and then you could only ask this. That means, can I say the idea of small talk is dying? Because it's only, are you okay? Sab theek hai bhai? And then go on. Hai na? So can I say the idea of small talk is dying? So the idea of small talk is dying here in the paragraph. Okay, now let's move on. Let's see what happens next. He says, again, there was a gathering, and then, you know, this possibly there was no conversation starter. Now, read this line very carefully. As a conversation opener, it stings, but a conversation stopper, it is in the highest class. So, but here suddenly no one was interested in anything else. The most important thing to know was the story of a poor man's love life. सब चुप होके उसकी बात सुनने लग गए. The question wasn't asked maliciously. Normally पूछा था तो क्या हो गया तुम्हारी love life को? And then everybody stopped talking. It was a conversation stopper. So the questionnaire had a doubt and he wanted to clear it up with the person most likely to have the answer. उसके मन में कोई malice नहीं था, कोई hurtful intention नहीं था. He just wanted to know. He actually wanted to start a conversation. But there was a moment of stunned silence after that. What happened later on was a conversation starter. Everybody began to speak simultaneously to cover up the silence. Small talk started. People not only wanted to know the football score, they wanted to know how's your new car. So उस silence को curb करने के लिए बहुत सारी और conversation start होने लग गई. Can I say that kind of a statement can be a small conversation starter, because otherwise small conversations have become obsolete these days. We don't indulge into small conversations. How are you? And how are things going on in your life? All good. That's all. The host even suggested we break for dinner, although it was early in the day. Complete humor. So the gift for banal conversation had returned with a bang. Banal, घिसा पीटी सवाल, लेकिन क्योंकि स्मॉल कन्वर्सेशन ऑफ फुटबॉल में क्या चल रहा है, कितनी गर्मी हो रही है आजकल. So that's banal conversation, small talk has reconquered us. People who till then were hemming and hawing and shuffling their feet, not knowing what to say, were now in an animated conversation to suppress that silence that was visible. Okay, funny thing, he did not have an answer to the question, but it looked like a plug was opened from the sink and the water flew. वो plug था ये statement, ये question. Oh, what's going on with your love life? I heard you broke up. And then the conversation started. So, back to this. Remember, if you're stuck in a gathering and if you want to start a conversation, probably announce this loud. Now, coming back to the tone. A small talk starter is the hero of the party. Okay, let's keep that pending. The art of small talk is dying. Small talks are turning into big conversation these days. No, no big conversation. Small talks, and it's important and it's necessary. We're not referring to big talks. The pandemic has made people, this is only part of the premise. That's not why the whole passage has been written. Now, out of A and B, which one would you choose? Which one would you choose out of A and B? This is the second one, Muskan. Did you join me late? Out of A and B, which one would you choose? Okay? Yeah. It has to be B. It has to be B. And the author also focuses, B should have been a little more detailed. It's the best out of these. It should have been a little more detailed that how the art of small talk is dying and how we can revive it. That was a part that's missing here actually. So it would have been a little more detailed. Tone of the author is done. Summary of the passage is done. Let me show you today's Hindu and Indian Express in the background. I'm sure you loved the articles that I bought today. Where's the Hindu? Oh, just a minute. Hindu. Here we go. Let me share today's newspapers. Also, I think Vaibhav, did you message me about taking an Aeon article? Vaibhav, are you there in the class today? The article that you had, I'll show you Aeon as well today. Let me see Aeon and Indian Express. Let's see. Showing Aeon as well, and I'll show you what are the important articles. I'll show you just a minute. Opinion here. So the article was here. This one in the column page. That's how I found the article. 26th March. We missed out on this article. Let's look at the editorial page. I'm going to take the roundup of Aeon today. Thank you, Priya. Thank you, my child. I love you. Let's look at the first article. No. You don't have to read this unless and until you're too interested in politics. Don't waste your time. Yes, read this. Skim. Leave. This is very important. Please read this, everyone. Let's look at text and context. No, not needed. AFSPA, अगर अभी पढ़ रहे हो आप latest news तो needed नहीं है ये. What is the history of AFSPA? I'm sure you would know that. We've taken so many articles on that. This is interesting. Yes, read this. Let's have a look at the Aeon. Yes, this article. Do you guys remember I had taken an article in my paid batches on virtue and vice? It appeared in one of the previous year NLS papers. Do you remember that? If you remember that article, you will easily understand this article. It's a philosophical one on virtue and vice. How many of you remember that article? Yes, Navya. Yes, you remember the article on virtue and vice? You'll easily understand this article then. Read this article, and apart from that, this can be easily skimmed. This is an easy one, very easy one. Rather, this is a very interesting one. Read this one on ethics. So I think you have to read the virtue signaling vice and the Midas disease. Also, some of the people sent me a message about taking this article. Do you remember? I've already taken this article in detail in one of my classes. Please make sure you watch my classes that you missed out on. Let's look at the opinion page. Criminal procedure bill will not make Indians safer. Yeah. Unlocking the potential of green hydrogen. Yes. Protect the film archive. This can't be done by handling it into a corruption. Yes. Let's create a gender positive learning space. Yes. You know I love such articles. Imran Khan has done what no civilian leader in Pakistan has ever done before. Adults only subtitles with children's content are a problem, but it's a miracle that communication no-nos don't happen more. Yes. Yati and sabka saath. No. That's all. That's all. Okay. Winding up the class, everyone. I shall see you at 12:30 with my series on idioms. Second class today. Make sure you don't miss out on it. Others who don't know where am I going to take this class, I take a free series on idioms and phrases 12:30 today on our BBA YouTube channel. YouTube search bar, find out BBA, BYJU'S Exam Prep. You'll find our channel. Subscribe to the channel. You'll find my video. Set a reminder for that, 12:30. See you there. Otherwise, see you tomorrow. Have a very good day, everyone. God bless all of you.